Dear Sagittarius, if you are hearing these words right now, pause for just a moment. Because from now until the end of December 2025, your life is moving toward an unavoidable turning point. And especially if you are between 40 and 70 years old, what is coming will require you to live differently, not the way you have before. This is not a warning. It is a calling. Something is quietly leaving your life, while something much greater is preparing to enter. And if lately you have felt restless, out of rhythm, or as if familiar parts of your life suddenly feel too tight, too small, that is the sign. Stay with me, because right now, the very first signals of that turning point are already beginning to reveal themselves. Dear Sagittarius, if you are listening to these words in a quiet moment of your own, maybe late at night, when the outside world has finally softened, this is not random. Something very subtle, yet very real, is touching you right now. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, but it is strong enough to make you pause for a breath and wonder why your heart has not felt as peaceful as it once did. You have lived long enough to know this truth. The biggest changes in life rarely arrive with thunder. They usually begin as a vague feeling, a strange breeze, an empty space you cannot quite name, and that feeling is here now. From this moment until the end of December 2025, an invisible current is quietly shifting beneath your feet. It feels like solid ground, yet underneath, everything is slowly being rearranged. You may find yourself more restless than usual, even though nothing obvious seems wrong. You may begin questioning the very things that once made you feel secure. Time may feel slow in some places, then suddenly rush forward in others, as if the universe itself is gently disrupting your familiar rhythm. And perhaps people, habits, connections that once felt permanent are leaving softly, without noise, without conflict, yet leaving behind a space that feels unmistakably real. That space is not here to weaken you. It exists so you can breathe, so you can look back. So new light has room to enter. You have carried many roles in this life, responsibilities, expectations, sacrifice, even dreams you set aside because it felt more practical to do so. But deep inside you, there is still a part of Sagittarius that never disappeared. The part that loves freedom, the part that longs for open horizons, the part that was never meant to live inside spaces too small for its soul. And when life becomes too narrow, the universe will always find a way to expand it, even if, at first, you do not understand how. The delays you are experiencing are not meant to stop you. They are here to keep you from continuing down an old road. The sudden changes are not meant to confuse you. They are here to loosen your grip on what can no longer take you further. You are not being abandoned. You are being guided. Only this path does not come with clear signs the way you are used to. It asks you to listen more than control, to feel more than analyze, and to trust more than worry. Sagittarius, at this stage of life, you have gathered enough experience to understand this. Life is not measured by perfect safety, but by how honest you are with yourself. There are seasons meant for building, for gathering, for protecting, and there are seasons meant for loosening your grip, to see what truly wishes to remain. This season carries a question simple, yet profound. What are you still living for? What part of you has never been spoken out loud? What whispers to you at night, but gets pushed aside during the day because life feels too busy? This is not a warning. This is an invitation to return to your natural openness, an invitation to slow down just enough to see that ahead of you there is not only loss, but many possibilities waiting to be seen. When you allow yourself to pause, to breathe deeply, and to listen, you will begin to notice a very gentle light appearing, not blinding, not demanding, just patiently present, the light of truth, the light of living more honestly, more lightly, and more freely. And as that light grows clearer, you will feel yourself no longer standing still, not because you are being pushed, but because something inside you is ready to move forward, even if the road ahead is still covered in mist. Within that mist, something important is waiting to be recognized, like a final piece, quietly sliding into place, allowing you to see your life through different eyes, deeper, brighter, and far more gentle with yourself. Dear Sagittarius, after you begin to notice those very subtle movements inside yourself, another feeling may slowly start to surface. It is no longer a vague restlessness, but a gentle awakening, as if you suddenly understand that what is happening is not random at all. For many years, you have lived in the way you believed was right. You worked hard, not only for yourself, but for the people around you. You built stability brick by brick, carefully, steadily, often quietly. You carried the weight of family, of community, of expectations that were never spoken, yet always present. And perhaps, many times, you placed your personal dreams behind you, telling yourself there would be another time, when things felt safer, when others no longer needed you so much. You did not do anything wrong. You gave your best during a season when safety was the highest priority. But life is not a straight line, and Sagittarius was never meant to stand still at one point for too long. When you have learned the lessons of endurance and responsibility, the universe does not keep you anchored by familiar things. Instead, it begins to clear space, very quietly, very gently, to make room for a different rhythm of living. You may feel as if you are losing something, a relationship that no longer feels as close, a job that once brought comfort, now feeling heavy, an old belief about yourself, about your limits, about what you think you deserve, suddenly starting to shake. But listen, slowly. Nothing is being taken away to punish you. What is leaving now is leaving, because it has fulfilled its role in your journey. It cannot travel with you to where you are about to go, simply because your energy has changed. The universe is not destroying the foundation you built. It is only removing the walls that have grown too tight. And when those walls fall away, you may feel empty, even a little afraid. Yet in that space, you finally begin to breathe deeper. You realize how long you have lived inside invisible structures, and you start to understand something essential. Inner freedom does not come from controlling everything. It comes from allowing yourself to no longer be bound by what no longer reflects who you are. Sagittarius, there is a time in life when familiarity becomes shelter. But there is another time when that same familiarity turns into an anchor. You are entering a season where your soul needs more space than old schedules, old roles, old expectations can offer. You need room to live in rhythm with your own breath, to listen to the call within rather than constantly responding to voices outside of you. This does not ask you to destroy the past or turn away from it. It simply invites you to look back with honesty and gratitude. Gratitude for what helped you grow, and the courage to admit that some things were once right, but are no longer. When you allow this truth to exist, a lighter feeling begins to appear. Light, like setting down a suitcase you have carried for far too long, and realizing you can keep walking without carrying everything. In that quiet space, you may begin to sense a different current moving through you, not rushed, not forced, just a gentle reminder that you are allowed to live for yourself a little more now, allowed to choose honesty over mere safety, allowed to trust that what is opening ahead is not loss, but expansion. And as you stand in this new space, with fewer burdens and more room to breathe, you will begin to notice a very quiet strength growing inside you. A strength that does not come from pushing harder, but from clarity. Clarity about what truly matters. Clarity about what you no longer wish to carry. And it is this clarity that will guide you, step by step, slow yet steady, into a deeper experience of yourself, where the challenges ahead no longer feel like obstacles, but like confirmation that you are ready for something greater waiting just beyond the horizon. Dear Sagittarius, as you begin to sense the fresh space forming around you, as old burdens are slowly set down and your breathing grows deeper, something very natural begins to happen. Life will not allow you to remain still for too long in that calm, not because the universe wants to test you further, but because it needs to know whether you are truly ready. This turning point, as you are starting to realize, is not simply an open door. It is a final test of your inner strength, of the maturity you have gathered over many years. The challenges that appear now do not look like the ones you faced before. They do not arrive to exhaust you or to make you question your worth. They arrive differently, more refined, deeper, and they ask you to be fully present. You may find yourself facing decisions with very little time to hesitate. There is no longer space for endless weighing of options, no room to wait for one more clear sign. Life asks the question, and it expects your answer to come from your own decisiveness. At certain moments, old fears may return. They whisper in a familiar voice, asking whether you are taking too much risk, whether at this stage of life, safety should still come first, whether stepping outside what is familiar means it is too late to begin again. But if you listen closely, you will notice something important. That voice is no longer as powerful as it once was. It does not control you anymore. It is simply checking whether you will still allow fear to lead the way. Old memories may surface as well. A person from the past, an old situation, an old wound. They appear suddenly, not to pull you backward, but to invite one final look, as if life is asking, have you truly let go? Have you truly understood the lesson? Or did you only set it aside for later? And in that moment, you may realize you no longer react the same way. You are no longer swept up by old emotions. You are no longer blaming yourself. You are no longer trying to prove anything. You simply observe, calmly, clearly, present. Sagittarius, this is the greatest difference of all. This time, you are no longer fragile, not because you have grown harder, but because you have grown steadier from within. You have lived through enough to understand that fear does not disappear when we avoid it. It dissolves when we walk through it with open eyes. You gathered experience, not to show it, but to know where your energy belongs and where it no longer needs to be spent. Your wisdom now is quiet. It does not need to announce itself. It shows up in the way you see one step further, one layer deeper. You are no longer pulled by short-term worries. You begin to see the larger picture, to understand that each challenge is only a point along a long road, not the destination itself. And it is this long view that keeps you steady, even when the full path ahead has not yet revealed itself. So the real question is no longer whether you can get through this. You have already overcome too much to doubt that. The question now is quieter and more honest. Are you willing to choose a new path? A path that is no longer clearly marked. A path that asks you to trust your own inner sense. A path where you cannot carry everything old with you. But in return, you live lighter, truer, and freer. And as you stand before that choice, you may feel a very special kind of stillness inside. Not emptiness, but a silence filled with meaning. Within that silence, you know more clearly than ever that you are no longer the person you once were. That something strong and awake within you is quietly nodding, a silent confirmation. And from that confirmation, a deeper awareness begins to form, gently illuminating the road ahead, preparing you to meet an even greater truth waiting to be revealed. Dear Sagittarius, after you have stood steady through the challenges you've just faced, after you are no longer running from fear and no longer trying to prove anything to anyone, something very subtle begins to happen. It does not arrive like a sudden shock. It does not crash in through loud events. It comes slowly, like the first light of morning slipping through a curtain. Gentle enough not to overwhelm you, yet clear enough that you can no longer look away. This is the moment when a great truth begins to reveal itself, not from the outside world, but from deep within you. That truth may appear in the most ordinary moment, when you are sitting alone and suddenly realize that what once drove you forward for so many years no longer makes your heart move. When you look back at an old goal and see that it belonged to who you were then, not who you are now. Not because you failed to reach it, but because you grew, you changed, you came to know yourself more deeply, and what no longer fits, even if it once felt absolutely right, can no longer lead you forward, or that truth may arrive through a relationship, a connection you once believed you could not live without. yet now it feels like something you must strain to maintain. You begin to notice that the bond is no longer built on harmony, but on habit, on obligation, or on the fear of hurting someone else. And in that moment, a very simple yet very honest question arises inside you. Are you staying because of love, or because you are afraid of change? That question does not accuse you. It does not judge. It simply invites you to look directly. And then, at an even deeper level, you may touch a realization that leaves you completely still. The realization that for many years, you have lived too long inside your roles. The strong one, the responsible one, the one who always knows what to do. You fulfilled what life placed in your hands. You did it well. But somewhere along the way, you slowly forgot what it felt like to simply be yourself without meeting anyone's expectations. You forgot who you were before everything became heavy. And when that truth appears, it may shake you for a moment. But Sagittarius, this truth does not come to hurt you. It does not come to take away what you have built. It comes to free you from an old version of yourself that has already completed its purpose, to free you from choices made during a time when you were not yet free to truly listen to yourself. When you allow this truth to stay, even in silence, a deep sense of relief begins to rise, as if you no longer have to hold any image together, as if you are finally allowed to breathe at your own rhythm. From that moment on, something inside you changes forever. You cannot return to the old way of living, not because it was wrong, but because you now see more clearly. Once the light is on, you cannot pretend the room is still dark. You begin to experience life with a different kind of honesty. You become more selective with where your energy goes. You listen to your body more closely. You no longer rush after things that once made you feel proud if they no longer bring you peace. There may be quiet moments when you feel both regret and gratitude. Regret for the years you did not fully live for yourself. Gratitude because you are still here, aware enough, deep enough to recognize this now. And within those quiet moments, a new feeling slowly forms. Not confusion, but clarity. Clarity about what you no longer wish to carry. Clarity about what you are ready to protect. Clarity about the true value of the time you have left in this life. The truth being revealed does not close your path. It opens a new space, wider, more honest, a space where you no longer have to live by an old script. And as you slow your steps within that space, you begin to feel a very gentle movement taking place, as if invisible cords that once held you back are quietly being untied, as if life itself is whispering that it is time to stop carrying everything. And within that lightness, a very important choice is waiting for you, a choice about what you are willing to release, so that you can finally, truly move forward in freedom. Dear Sagittarius, after the light of truth has touched you, after the moment you begin to see more clearly who you are becoming, something very natural starts to move within you. It does not force itself. It is not loud. It feels like opening a window early in the morning and suddenly realizing the room needs to breathe. Letting go at this stage is no longer an emotional choice. It becomes a deep need of the soul, not to escape, but to live more honestly. Letting go now does not feel like loss. It feels like relief. You begin to notice there are relationships that asked you to shrink yourself in silence. You stayed out of kindness, out of loyalty, out of not wanting to hurt anyone. But over time, you felt yourself tightening, straining to hold a familiar role. And when you pause and speak truthfully to yourself, you see this clearly. Real love never asks you to disappear. And what no longer allows you to be who you truly are, no matter how important it once was, cannot continue into the journey ahead. There are responsibilities you have carried for so long that you forgot they no longer belong to you. You became used to holding everything, used to being the anchor, used to thinking of others before thinking of yourself. But now your body begins to speak, your heart grows tired, and your soul needs permission to set down what is no longer yours to carry. Letting go here is not irresponsibility, it is self-respect. It is the moment you understand you cannot continue giving from a place that is already empty. And then there are beliefs. old, deep beliefs that have quietly guided you for years, that you are already too old, that it is too late, that life now should only be endured, not expanded. Those beliefs once helped you survive, but now they have become barriers. When you look directly at them, you begin to see they are not truth. They are fear, repeated too many times. And the moment you allow yourself to question those beliefs, another door begins to open. Sagittarius, letting go does not mean you failed. It means you have grown enough to understand that not everything that was once right needs to be carried forever. It means you choose yourself, not through selfishness, but through clarity. When you release what no longer fits, you do not become empty. You become spacious, space to breathe, space to feel, space for new things to enter without crowding your life. At times, you may feel a quiet emptiness. That feeling is deeply human. When you're used to a life full of obligation, space can feel unfamiliar, even unsettling. But if you allow it time, you will see that this emptiness is not lack. It is space. Space to hear your inner voice more clearly. Space to ask what truly makes you feel alive. Space to remember the freedom that has always been the essence of Sagittarius. As you begin to clear the inside, something interesting happens on the outside. You naturally start simplifying. Less, but clearer. Slower, but deeper. You stop holding on to things simply because they have been there a long time. You choose more carefully. You refine. And that refinement creates a new frequency, one the universe can finally reach. The universe cannot bring you what truly matches you when your hands are still gripping the old. When you open your palms, not to drop, but to gently release, you send a clear message that you trust, that you are ready, that you are no longer afraid to live in alignment with yourself. And within that trust, a new current of life begins to flow in. Not rushed, not loud, but undeniably real. As you walk forward with lighter baggage, you begin to feel the difference in every rhythm of your life. Your choices grow clearer, your boundaries become healthier, and within that clarity, a very specific feeling appears. The feeling that you are no longer being pulled by the past, but guided by something ahead. Something that doesn't yet need a name, but is strong enough to let you know you are moving closer to the most free, the most whole version of yourself. Dear Sagittarius, after you have released what no longer belongs to you, after your hands feel lighter and your heart feels more open, something very clear begins to come into view, not as a command, but as a gentle truth that cannot be denied. Your future is no longer somewhere distant and unclear. It is right here, in every breath you take, in every small choice you are about to make. And the moment to begin is not some more perfect day ahead. That moment is now. You may have waited before, waited for a clearer sign, waited for someone to confirm that you were on the right path, waited for life to feel more stable, safer, less risky. But the more years you live, the more you understand this. Life rarely gives absolute certainty before we dare to move forward. Instead, it offers a quiet inner knowing, soft but unmistakably real, that tells you it is time, and that knowing is already within you. There is nothing you need to search for. You do not need anyone's permission to live as who you are now. You have spent enough time living for responsibility, for roles, for expectations placed upon you. What matters now is whether you are willing to trust yourself, to trust the maturity you have earned, to trust the intuition shaped by experience and hard lessons, to trust that you do not need to be perfect in order to begin. You only need to be honest. Every decision you make from this point forward, no matter how small, carries a new weight. They are no longer choices made just to cope, to survive, or to please. They become quiet building blocks for the life that comes next. Sometimes the decision is simple, saying no when it is needed, saying yes to what makes your heart feel alive, choosing what nourishes you instead of what drains you. Big transformations rarely begin with dramatic actions. They begin with consistency, with being true to yourself. Sagittarius, this is not the end of a journey. This is its expansion. like stepping out of a familiar room and realizing the sky is wider than you ever imagined. You do not lose what came before. You carry its wisdom without being confined by its old shape. You move forward more lightly, not because life becomes easier, but because you are no longer resisting yourself. From now until the end of December 2025, you may find yourself placed in very particular situations, not loud, not dramatic, but clear enough to show you that you are being invited to live more intentionally. No one is forcing you to change, yet life will keep guiding you to crossroads where returning to the old way feels impossible without a sense of being lost. And that is the clearest sign that you are moving in the right direction. You were never meant to live a half-lived life. You were born to explore, to expand, to live with the deep knowing that you are exactly where you need to be, even if your path looks nothing like anyone else's. When you allow yourself to step into the role of creating your own life, a different kind of peace appears. Not the peace that comes from everything being finished, but the peace that comes from knowing you are walking forward, living, choosing, with full awareness. There may still be moments of fear. That is human. But fear no longer stands in your way. It becomes a signal that you are stepping beyond what is familiar, touching something larger than your former self. And each time you move through that fear, even slightly, you draw closer to the life you truly want to live. Dear Sagittarius, the future is not a destination you reach once you are finally ready. It is created day by day, through how you treat yourself, through what you choose to hold on to, and what you are brave enough to release. As you stand here now, in this moment, with just enough clarity and just enough courage, you are already in the right place. And from here, every step you take will no longer be an escape, but a return to the free, open, fully alive person you have always been.